In the shadows of battlefields, a silent force orchestrated the tide of World War II. While generals plotted strategies on maps, it was the intricate web of logistics that truly determined victory. The Allies understood that without a steady stream of supplies, even the most brilliant tactics would falter. This invisible weapon, often overlooked, became the backbone of their military might. The logistics machine began its evolution in the years leading up to the war, as nations recognized the importance of efficient supply chains. Factories churned out munitions, vehicles, and food, while railroads and ports transformed into lifelines. The Allies, particularly the United States, invested heavily in this infrastructure, laying the groundwork for a supply network that would stretch across oceans and continents. As the war erupted, the Allies faced immense challenges. The Axis powers had established formidable defenses, yet the Allies had a secret advantage. By mastering the art of logistics, they ensured that troops were equipped with the necessary resources to sustain prolonged engagements. Every bullet, every ration, and every tank was a testament to the unseen efforts of countless individuals working tirelessly behind the scenes. The D-Day invasion of Normandy in June 1944 epitomized the power of logistics. As Allied forces stormed the beaches, thousands of tons of supplies had already been pre-positioned, ready to support the assault. The meticulous planning and execution of this supply chain allowed the Allies to maintain momentum, turning the tide of the war in Europe and showcasing the true strength of their invisible weapon. Throughout the war, the Allies developed innovative solutions to overcome logistical challenges. The use of cargo planes, amphibious vehicles, and advanced communication systems transformed how supplies were delivered. These innovations not only ensured that troops received what they needed, but also demonstrated the adaptability and resilience of the Allied logistics machine in the face of adversity. As the war progressed, the Allies faced the daunting task of supplying multiple fronts simultaneously. From the Pacific theater to the European battlegrounds, the logistics network expanded, connecting distant bases and ensuring that no soldier was left wanting. This relentless focus on supply was a stark reminder that wars are not solely won on the battlefield. They are won by the unseen hands that keep the machinery of war running. The legacy of the Allied logistics machine extends far beyond World War II. The principles of efficient supply chain management developed during this time have influenced military operations and business practices alike. Today, the lessons learned from this invisible weapon continue to resonate, reminding us that success often hinges on the ability to deliver resources where they are needed most. As we reflect on the monumental events of World War II, it is crucial to recognize the unsung heroes of logistics. Their contributions, though rarely celebrated, were instrumental in shaping the outcome of the war. In the end, it was not just the strategies devised by commanders that led to victory, but the unwavering commitment to supply that ultimately secured the triumph of the Allied forces. As the war raged across Europe, the Allied powers faced a daunting challenge: how to produce the vast quantities of weapons, vehicles, and supplies needed to sustain their forces. The answer lay in the factories of America, where an unprecedented mobilization of industry was about to transform the landscape of warfare. This was not just a shift in production, it was a revolution in logistics that would change the course of history. The heart of this industrial mobilization was the assembly line, a method perfected during the Great War and now adapted for the production of military hardware. Factories that once churned out consumer goods were retooled overnight to manufacture tanks, aircraft, and munitions. The famous Willow Run plant, for instance, became a symbol of this effort, producing a B-24 Liberator bomber every hour at its peak, showcasing the power of American ingenuity and determination. But it wasn't just the sheer volume of production that mattered. It was the efficiency and speed with which these factories operated. With a workforce that included millions of women stepping into roles traditionally held by men, the factories became a beacon of hope and resilience. This new labor force not only filled the gaps left by soldiers, but also brought fresh perspectives to manufacturing, driving innovation and productivity to unprecedented levels. The logistics of supply chains became a critical focus, as raw materials were transported from distant mines and forests to bustling assembly lines. Railroads and trucks became lifelines, connecting the factories to the front lines. The establishment of the War Production Board ensured that every ounce of material was allocated efficiently, turning the wheels of industry into a relentless machine that fed the Allied war effort with an unyielding supply of arms. As the Allies advanced, the impact of this industrial might became increasingly evident. The sheer volume of tanks, aircraft, and ships produced overwhelmed Axis forces, who struggled to match the relentless tide of Allied supplies. Each shipment of equipment was not just a delivery, it was a lifeline for soldiers in the field, enabling them to push forward with confidence, knowing they were backed by a seemingly limitless supply of resources. The legacy of this industrial mobilization extends far beyond the battlefield. It laid the groundwork for post-war economic prosperity, transforming the United States into a global superpower. The factories that once churned out weapons of war would soon pivot to consumer goods, fueling a booming economy and reshaping the lives of millions. This transition was a testament to the resilience and adaptability of a nation that had learned to harness its industrial potential. While strategies and tactics are often celebrated in the annals of military history, the true secret weapon of World War II was the ability to produce without limits. The factories of the Allied powers not only supplied the necessary tools for victory, but also instilled a sense of unity and purpose among the populace. This collective effort transformed citizens into a formidable force, proving that supply chains can be as powerful as the weapons they deliver. In retrospect, the story of World War II is as much about the factories as it is about the soldiers on the front lines. The industrial might of the Allies reshaped the very nature of warfare, demonstrating that wars are won not solely by strategy, but by the relentless supply of resources that fuels the fight. As the dust settled, it became clear. The factories had forged a legacy of victory that would echo through history. As World War II escalated, the demand for efficient transportation surged. The Allies recognized that victory hinged not just on the battlefield, but on the ability to move supplies swiftly and reliably. Trucks and trains became the lifeblood of military operations, transforming logistics into a strategic advantage. This was a war fought on wheels, where the roar of engines echoed the urgency of the fight ahead. The introduction of the Jeep and the GMC CCKW truck revolutionized military mobility. These vehicles were not merely transport, they were versatile tools that could traverse rugged terrains, delivering ammunition, food, and medical supplies to frontline troops. The iconic Jeep, with its agility and reliability, became a symbol of American ingenuity, embodying the spirit of a nation determined to support its forces with unmatched logistical prowess. On the railways, the Allies harnessed the power of trains to move vast quantities of resources across Europe. The extensive rail networks, particularly in the United States and Britain, were repurposed for war. Trains became the arteries of supply, carrying everything from tanks to troops, ensuring that the front lines were never starved of the essentials needed to sustain the fight against the Axis powers. The D-Day invasion of Normandy exemplified the critical role of logistics. As Allied forces stormed the beaches, a fleet of trucks and trains worked tirelessly behind the scenes, delivering reinforcements and supplies. The success of Operation Overlord relied heavily on this logistical machine, demonstrating that while strategy was vital, it was the relentless flow of supplies that truly shaped the outcome of the battle. In the Pacific Theater, the challenges were different, yet the principles of logistics remained the same. The vast distances and difficult terrains required innovative solutions. Trucks adapted for amphibious landings and specialized supply ships ensured that even the most remote islands received the necessary support. The Allies' ability to maintain a steady stream of supplies was crucial in turning the tide against Japan, proving that logistics could outmaneuver enemy strategies. As the war progressed, the importance of logistics became increasingly clear. The Allies developed sophisticated supply chains, utilizing depots and distribution centers to streamline operations. This network allowed for rapid resupply, enabling forces to maintain momentum in their advances. The realization that wars are won by wheels, not just weapons, marked a pivotal shift in military thinking, emphasizing the need for a robust logistical framework. The legacy of this logistical revolution extended far beyond the war. Post-war, the infrastructure developed for military purposes laid the groundwork for modern supply chains and civilian industries. The lessons learned about the importance of transportation and supply management would influence everything from commerce to disaster response, highlighting the enduring impact of the wheels that turned the tide of history during World War II. Today, as we reflect on the monumental events of World War II, it is essential to remember that victory was not solely determined by battlefield tactics. The trucks and trains that powered the Allied logistics machine were unsung heroes, ensuring that supplies reached those in need. Their role in the war underscores a fundamental truth. Wars are won by supply, not just strategy, a lesson that resonates in every conflict that followed. In the early days of World War II, the Allies faced a dire shortage of ships to transport troops and supplies. The urgency of the situation led to the birth of the Liberty ship, a vessel designed for mass production. Crafted from prefabricated components, these ships could be assembled in mere weeks, a revolutionary response to the pressing demands of war. They became the backbone of Allied logistics, embodying the spirit of resilience. The Liberty ship was not just a marvel of engineering. It was a symbol of hope. With a length of 441 feet and a cargo capacity of 10,000 tons, these ships were built to endure the harshest conditions of the Atlantic. Nicknamed steel falling from heaven, they delivered vital supplies to troops engaged in fierce battles across Europe and the Pacific, proving that logistics could be as powerful as any weapon. As the war escalated, the Liberty ships became a lifeline for the Allied forces. Each vessel carried food, ammunition, and fuel, ensuring that frontline troops were never left wanting. The sheer scale of production was staggering. By the war's end, over 2,700 Liberty ships had been launched. Their presence on the ocean was a testament to the power of industrial might, a crucial factor in turning the tide against the Axis powers. The construction of Liberty ships was a collaborative effort, uniting shipyards across the United States. Women and men from diverse backgrounds worked tirelessly, embodying a collective purpose. The iconic shipyards of places like Richmond and Portland became bustling hubs of activity, where the sound of welding and assembly filled the air. This unprecedented mobilization of the workforce highlighted the importance of unity and determination in the face of adversity. However, the journey of the Liberty ships was fraught with peril. Many vessels faced the relentless threat of U-boat attacks in the treacherous waters of the Atlantic. Yet the ships were designed with resilience in mind, often returning home despite sustaining damage. Their ability to withstand enemy fire and deliver critical supplies showcased the vital role of logistics in warfare, reinforcing the notion that victory is often built on the foundation of support. As the war drew to a close, the legacy of the Liberty ships endured. They not only facilitated the Allied victory, but also transformed global shipping practices. After the war, many were repurposed for commercial use, helping to rebuild economies and connect nations. The design principles established during their production influenced future shipbuilding, ensuring that the lessons learned in wartime logistics would resonate for decades to come. Today, the Liberty ships are often overlooked in discussions of World War II. Yet their impact was profound, serving as a reminder that wars are won not just on battlefields, but through the unseen efforts of countless individuals working behind the scenes. The phrase, "steel falling from heaven," encapsulates the essence of these vessels, highlighting how essential logistics were to the Allied success and the eventual triumph over tyranny. In reflecting on the legacy of the Liberty ships, we recognize the power of supply chains in shaping the course of history. They were more than mere vessels. They were a testament to human ingenuity and determination. As we honor their contribution, we understand that the true measure of victory lies not only in strategy, but in the relentless pursuit of support, ensuring that every soldier on the front lines has what they need to succeed. As the war raged across Europe, the Allies faced a daunting challenge: how to transport vast quantities of supplies across the perilous Atlantic. The solution emerged in the form of convoys, large groups of ships sailing together, providing both security and efficiency. This strategic innovation transformed the logistics of warfare, allowing the Allies to sustain their forces and maintain momentum against the Axis powers. The first major convoy, designated HX-1, set sail from Halifax in 1940. Comprising 30 merchant vessels, it was a bold experiment in cooperative defense. These ships braved the treacherous waters, heavily laden with food, ammunition, and equipment. The success of HX-1 proved that collective movement could protect vital supplies, paving the way for a new era in military logistics that would be crucial for the Allied war effort. As the war escalated, so did the threats from German U-boats lurking beneath the waves. The Allies adapted, employing naval escorts to shield the convoys from relentless attacks. Destroyers, corvettes, and aircraft worked in tandem, forming a protective barrier around the merchant ships. This synergy not only safeguarded the lifelines of the Atlantic, but also showcased the importance of collaboration in overcoming adversity during wartime. By mid-1943, the convoy system had evolved into a well-oiled machine, capable of delivering supplies at an unprecedented scale. Operation Pedestal, one of the most famous convoys, aimed to resupply Malta, a critical stronghold in the Mediterranean. Despite fierce opposition, the convoy's resilience symbolized the determination of the Allied forces, demonstrating that logistics could be as decisive as any battle fought on land or sea. The impact of the convoy system extended beyond immediate military gains. It forged alliances among nations, as American, British, and Canadian ships sailed side by side. This unity in purpose not only strengthened the supply lines, but also solidified the bonds between the Allies, laying the groundwork for post-war cooperation and the eventual establishment of international organizations aimed at preventing future conflicts. As the war drew to a close, the legacy of the convoy system was evident. The Allies had successfully transported millions of tons of supplies, enabling them to launch decisive offensives that would ultimately lead to victory. The lessons learned from these lifelines across the Atlantic would influence military logistics for generations, underscoring the principle that wars are won not just on the battlefield, but through the strength of supply chains. In the annals of history, the convoy system remains a testament to the power of logistics in warfare. While battles may capture the headlines, it was the quiet, relentless movement of supplies across the Atlantic that truly shaped the outcome of World War II. The convoys stand as a reminder that behind every victory lies an intricate web of support, a silent force that fuels the engines of war. As the tide of World War II turned, the Allies recognized a critical need for swift and efficient supply lines. Traditional logistics struggled to keep pace with the demands of a rapidly evolving battlefield. Enter air transport, a revolutionary concept that would redefine how armies received their essential supplies, from ammunition to food, and fundamentally alter the dynamics of warfare. The invention of the C-47 Skytrain marked a pivotal moment in military logistics. This versatile aircraft, capable of carrying heavy loads over long distances, became the backbone of Allied air supply operations. With its ability to land on short, rough airstrips, the C-47 brought supplies directly to the front lines, ensuring troops received what they needed when they needed it most. During the D-Day invasion, the importance of air transport became strikingly evident. As Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy, thousands of tons of supplies were airdropped to support the troops. This rapid resupply system allowed soldiers to maintain momentum against German defenses, proving that the skies could be as vital as the ground in securing victory. The Berlin airlift of 1948 further showcased the power of air transport in logistics. In response to the Soviet blockade, Allied forces flew in over 2 million tons of supplies to sustain West Berlin's population. This monumental effort not only demonstrated the effectiveness of air logistics, but also solidified the role of air transport in post-war military strategy and humanitarian efforts. Air transport transformed the landscape of military operations, allowing for unprecedented flexibility in logistics. It enabled rapid deployment of resources across vast distances, ensuring that frontline units were never left wanting. This new dimension of supply became a crucial element in the Allies' ability to adapt and respond to the fluid nature of warfare, often tipping the scales in their favor. The legacy of air transport extends beyond the battlefield. The innovations developed during World War II laid the groundwork for modern logistics and supply chain management. Today, air cargo is a cornerstone of global trade, illustrating how wartime necessities can lead to lasting advancements in technology and infrastructure that benefit civilian life. Ultimately, the story of air transport in World War II serves as a powerful reminder that wars are won by supply, not just strategy. The ability to deliver resources swiftly and efficiently became a decisive factor in the Allied victory, highlighting the often overlooked role of logistics in shaping the outcome of history's greatest conflicts. As the tide of World War II turned, the Allies recognized that victory hinged not solely on battlefield tactics, but on an intricate web of supply chains. The logistics machine, a marvel of organization and efficiency, became the unsung hero of the conflict. It ensured that troops were equipped, nourished, and supported, transforming the chaos of war into a coordinated effort that would ultimately crush the Axis powers. The establishment of the Red Ball Express in 1944 exemplified this logistical revolution. A vast network of truck convoys, it transported vital supplies from ports in Normandy to the front lines. With thousands of trucks rolling day and night, the Red Ball Express became a lifeline for American forces, demonstrating that the speed and reliability of supply could dictate the pace of the war. Meanwhile, the Allies implemented the use of prefabricated structures and modular supply depots. These innovations allowed for rapid construction of bases and storage facilities close to the front lines. This adaptability ensured that supplies could be stockpiled and distributed efficiently, empowering commanders to maintain momentum during critical offensives, such as the liberation of Paris. The logistics machine was not without its challenges. The Allies faced constant threats from enemy forces attempting to disrupt supply lines. Yet, through ingenuity and resilience, they fortified routes and developed countermeasures. The ability to adapt to these threats highlighted a crucial lesson. The capacity to sustain an army often outweighed the brilliance of any single military strategy. As the war progressed, the Allies' commitment to logistics became increasingly evident during the Battle of the Bulge. Despite being caught off guard, the Allies' supply lines held firm. Reinforcements and supplies flowed in, allowing them to regroup and counterattack. This resilience illustrated that even in the face of adversity, a well-oiled logistics machine could turn the tide of battle. By the time the final push into Germany commenced, the Allies had perfected their logistical strategies. The sheer volume of supplies, ammunition, fuel, and food poured into the front lines, enabling a relentless advance. The Axis, burdened by their own logistical failures, found themselves outmatched, unable to sustain their forces against the onslaught of Allied might, fueled by unparalleled supply capabilities. In the aftermath of the war, the legacy of this logistical triumph became a blueprint for future military operations. The lessons learned in World War II underscored a fundamental truth. Wars are not won by strategy alone, but by the relentless pursuit of supply. The Allies' logistical machine, a silent yet formidable weapon, reshaped the landscape of warfare and established a new paradigm for military success. As World War II raged on, the true power of industrial might began to reveal itself. Factories across the Allied nations transformed into relentless engines of war, churning out tanks, planes, and munitions at an unprecedented scale. This was not merely a battle of generals on the front lines. It was a contest of production, where the ability to supply troops with the necessary tools of warfare would ultimately determine the outcome. The Liberty ship, a marvel of wartime engineering, epitomized this industrial revolution. Designed for speed and efficiency, these cargo vessels could be constructed in a matter of days. Their ability to transport vital supplies across the treacherous Atlantic was a game-changer. Each ship that launched represented not just steel and rivets, but the lifeblood of the Allied forces, delivering food, fuel, and ammunition to sustain the fight against tyranny. In the heart of the American Midwest, factories operated around the clock, employing millions. The assembly lines became a symbol of hope and resilience. Workers, men and women alike, contributed to a collective effort that transcended individual sacrifice. Each bolt tightened and each part assembled was a testament to the belief that victory lay not just in the hands of soldiers, but in the relentless spirit of those who supplied them. The sheer volume of production was staggering. By 1944, the United States was producing more aircraft than the Axis powers combined. This overwhelming industrial output allowed the Allies to maintain a steady flow of reinforcements and resources. As battles raged from Normandy to the Pacific, the logistics behind the front lines became the unsung hero of the war, quietly shaping the tide of history with every shipment delivered. The legacy of this industrial prowess extended far beyond the battlefield. Post-war, the techniques and innovations developed during this time laid the groundwork for modern manufacturing. The concept of mass production, honed in the crucible of conflict, would fuel economic growth and technological advancement in the decades that followed. The war had not only been won on the fields of Europe and Asia, but in the factories that powered the Allied efforts. As the dust settled on the battlefields of World War II, the lessons learned about logistics and supply chains became integral to military strategy. Future conflicts would echo this reality, where success would hinge not solely on tactics, but on the ability to sustain operations. The Allied victory was a profound reminder that wars are ultimately decided by the unseen forces of industry, logistics, and supply, rather than the brilliance of any single military strategy. Today, the legacy of World War II's industrial might serves as a powerful reminder of the interconnectedness of warfare and economy. As nations prepare for future conflicts, the lessons of supply chain resilience and logistical planning remain vital. The war was indeed decided by industry, a testament to the enduring truth that in the theater of war, the strongest supply lines often lead to the most decisive victories.